Hi, and welcome to the 5 Keys to Project Management Nirvana session brought to you by Innovative E and Teams4PM here at PMXPO. I'm here with Mike Taylor, the CEO of Innovative E. My name is Bryan Quick, and we'll be your host today. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Bryan. It's great to be here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Yeah, we've got a lot of great things to talk about today. We hope you're having a great conference. PMXPO, it's always really exciting to be here. We've been here before with Microsoft, and this is our first opportunity to come in as Innovative E and talk to you about Teams4PM.
Yep, absolutely. And by the way, we do have Microsoft. It's going to be in our booth if you haven't stopped by to check it out. We've got a couple people that'll be there helping us answer questions as well. So don't miss that opportunity.
Yep, great opportunity to really transform work and project management into a competitive advantage for you with our cloud-based collaboration tool set that enables everyone to work toward your core objectives. And we've been recognized by Microsoft 5 times in the last 4 years with Microsoft Partner of the Year awards. So, Mike, what is project management? Let's just go over it again. Let's hear from the PMBOK.
Yeah, there you go, PMBOK. This is actually from the 7th edition, and for those who go back all the way, to earlier editions, 1, 2, 3, up to 6, this definition has changed a little bit, but it's been pretty consistent about it's the application of the expertise and the tools and the things to help get the best outcomes for people. The thing that's kind of changed a little bit is kind of that last piece there, where they're talking about having like predictive, hybrid, and adaptive approaches to it. That's kind of recognizing the evolution of the approaches to include things like Agile and Scrum and Kanban and your more traditional ways of doing things. So it's evolved a little bit over time, but it's still pretty much the theme of the statement from the PMBOK is exactly the same.
But success in project management is still elusive, and that's why we're here, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great quote because it came from a Standish Group survey that was just done and published through HBR in February, so last month. So it's still true that despite the evolution of the approaches and everything else, that still only about 1 in 3 projects are considered successful. And with an annual spend estimated at $48 trillion, it's like they say in that quote right there, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for improvement here and be able to realize benefits of the projects better.
So why is that, Mike? We took a poll at our last webinar. We had about 200 people online at the time, and we took a poll. What are the challenges? What's really going on in your project management space? And the results were actually pretty intriguing.
Yeah, they really were. You can see a pretty even distribution there. People are still using email, SharePoint sites. Microsoft Teams actually is the leader in this poll that we did last time, like you said. So it's really interesting to see that it's a variety of tools that are being used. Not surprising that Teams is coming on because collaboration has really come on, with the hybrid work model over the last 2 or 3 years. So it's not surprising to see that one kind of starting to take a more center stage.
Right. Teams usage is actually skyrocketing. 1 million organizations across the globe, 300 million users. And this was amplified by the pandemic, but it's just gone through the roof since then.
Yeah, it really has.
So what do we think's going on, Mike? We're going to talk about those 5 keys to project management nirvana, and we're going to visit them one at a time. So key 1, fix collaboration chaos. So what's happening here is there's inconsistent project collaboration. And so what we need to get to is common collaboration experiences. Some of the challenges you guys are all seeing every day is, people have different degrees of knowledge in how to use Microsoft Teams for project management, and they're leaning on whatever tools they can get their hands on. So project management tools, traditionally, if you've got a PPM system in place, they've got a reputation of being inflexible and difficult to use. Really, they turned out to be more only for the project managers to use and not the general project team members, which doesn't really foster collaboration. So that team member experience is often inconsistent from one project manager to another, and so your data is often siloed. You may be using Excel for one project and the SharePoint list for another, and there's no way you're going to be able to report on that data. And you're going to be chasing data all over the place all the time, which creates a lot of manual work. So what's that key to project management success, Mike?
Yeah, so really it's taking an understanding to kind of turn the construct around and stop doing collaboration. And you mentioned these different project execution tools. They all have a collaborative feature to them. So really it's really making collaboration space for the applications and the people. So really what it says there, about a consistent experience for everyone, regardless of the project execution tool. So think about a world where you have like a team channel and everything is the same in terms of how you manage your artifacts and your communications, your risk, your issues, those kinds of things. The only thing that might be different is what your execution tool could be. It could be Project for the Web. It could be, it could be a third-party tool like Monday.com or Asana or something like that. But what we're talking about here actually starts to transform that concept of making collaboration a first-class citizen in project management by really bringing project management into the collaborative space rather than starting with the endpoint app and then trying to collaborate around it.
Yeah, that's really turning the whole thing on its head, isn't it? Because we think of project management systems as being standalone systems, and then you have to go there in order to represent your work. And what we're really saying is, let's not do that. Let's bring that project management system into the collaborative space that you already have. And more often than not, given the numbers that we just showed, that's probably Microsoft Teams. So let's take that whole experience with the project management, the scheduling, and let's bring it into Microsoft Teams, bringing that project management into your collaborative space and not causing another place where you have to go and enter all that work. So another poll that we took, Mike, said, which of these apply to your team or organization? Is your project management information spread among disparate legacy systems? Are you wasting time on tedious, repetitive tasks? Do you need complete visibility to help drive decisions, but your data just simply doesn't support it? And is your work managed inefficiently with disconnected tools? I mean, they all came in as pretty high, Mike. Everybody's checking almost every box there.
Yeah, they really are. I think what was really interesting, though, is those last two boxes, the complete visibility to help drive decisions, but the data doesn't support it, is probably a little bit connected to or aligned with that last one of work is managed inefficiently with disconnected tools. And that represents 60% of the respondents' response there. So that's obviously a huge, huge challenge, is really finding that data and being able to do it. And it's one of those things that, we quoted that article a few minutes ago. Further down in the article, it actually said that at some point, probably in the next few years, by 2030, a lot of project management functions that are traditionally done by project managers will be automated, like 80%, I think. And the reason is because there's a huge opportunity to do that.
Right. So, I mean, and this is what we're talking about. We're talking about basically everybody's going out there and they're trying to find their own way to do project management and trying to use whatever they can get their hands on to do it. Because they want something more collaborative and simple, but that actually in itself is causing another problem or compounding the problem itself, in that the data is now siloed and you can't report on it collectively. Everybody's doing things a little bit differently, and so you can't really normalize the data into meaningful reporting.
Exactly.
So what's the second key? It's consolidating and normalizing that data. So we talk about having disconnected or siloed data. Somebody's got a spreadsheet somewhere, somebody's got a list somewhere, and how much time are we spending getting that data together into like a project status report manually? Does your management even know how much time that takes you on a weekly basis? So time spent chasing data and manually transforming things into actionable information. Project data is really, that collection of that data is not happening in a meaningful way, or it's inconsistent. And so what we need to do is we need to normalize that project metadata, that data that surrounds a project. What is this project for? Who's sponsoring it? What's the risk level, etc. We need to make sure that that's reportable data. Because when project data is disconnected from the execution of the project, that's when you get that manual stuff that happens all the time that needs to happen. So what's the second key, Mike, to project management nirvana?
Yeah, you alluded to it right there. It's really consolidate all your project data into one space. So in the previous key, we talked about consolidating collaboration into one place. Now we're actually talking about consolidating the project data and information into one place. So that's going to give you more consistent data. So a task is a task, right? It's going to be more reliable because it's in a centralized area, and it's permissions based. So it's going to be usable and reportable easier. The metadata, as you mentioned a minute ago, the attributes of the project can be consistent, independent of the execution tool. And then it also starts to lay the foundation for customizable workflow, which we'll talk about as another key here in a minute.
But you really can't have one without the other. We're saying you need both. You need to be collaborative and consolidate the data. I think we did that data consolidation over the last several years, Mike, with a lot of PPM systems. And yeah, the PPM data was consolidated, but it's in another space. So if we were able to do that and have the collaboration and bring project management into the collaboration space, that's what we're saying is a recipe for success.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about building common reporting capabilities, which really once that data is consolidated, what we need to do is we need to focus on the reportability of that data. Are you still doing manual status reporting? Are you not inconsistently or not capturing at all risks and issues in the central location? This is one of the key areas that style comes into play. I think there's a lot of project managers out there that really embrace the risk and issue management concept, but then not everybody's doing it. So we need to make that super easy and accessible so that people are able to use risk and issue management and risk logs, risk registers in a very collaborative way so that they're not off in somebody's spreadsheet somewhere. And we need to centralize all that reporting data in one place. And that can be in actually Microsoft Teams, and we're going to show you how later. So that those varying project management styles that people have, which, it's great. Everybody's got their way of managing projects, but we don't want that to come through in the data and in the reporting because that's where we need the consistency. So what's that third key, Mike?
Yeah, so it's absolutely picking up on what you just said, the different styles and things. You need to be able to govern how the data is collected and how it and what data sources it goes into. So it does build those flexible reporting constructs that you can then automate the reporting on. Reporting is easy, relatively easy to do if you have the right data and the right data has the right meaning. So what we're really talking about here is having automated and consolidated reporting across the scheduling, independent of the scheduling tool of choice. We're talking about a consistent, reliable data set to work from. And of course, most importantly, it's a single source of truth for all your project management or your PPM data.
Yeah, actually, let's bring that point to light a little bit more, Mike. Well, we're in the past when we've talked about, hey, let's consolidate the data, hey, let's be super collaborative with PPM. What went hand in hand with that was, and you have to use the scheduler that's associated with the solution. Whatever that PPM solution was, it had its own scheduler. So now we've changed the paradigm on that, and with Microsoft's help, they're building multiple different types of schedulers for different things. You talk about Project Desktop, you talk about Project for the Web, and Planner, and maybe even Azure DevOps. Those are all different ways of managing work. We're not going to mandate that you pick one and then that's what the solution has. We're going to let you use whichever one of those you want.
Right, and bring the key relevant data into the single source of truth for the reporting and things that need to happen, for accountability and for action.
So let's talk about that fourth key, which is standardizing the automation platform. A lot of these project management processes that you guys are doing, the manual stuff that you're doing could be automated if you had a simple and easy to use automation platform. So what in the past, what we've struggled with and as far as challenges in automation is that, it required a specialized skill set to work with these workflow engines, whether that be, SharePoint workflow or another workflow that was proprietary to your PPM system, wasn't easy to set up, wasn't easy to configure. And, even if you're trying to use Teams today and standardize on that, there's a lot of manual work that goes into standing up the channel, making sure that all the right data structure is there to collect the data in a meaningful way and report on it. And so it's not exactly intuitive out of the box to be able to use Teams for project management. We're going to talk to you about how Innovative E and Teams4PM changes that ball game in just a minute. And then limited internal skill sets. Just trying to work with these workflow platforms has been challenging. So, but that game is changing with the Power Platform and the advent of Microsoft Power Automate, right, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you can kind of think of these steps as building blocks. We've brought the collaboration in, we brought the data onto the same platform. And by having the data into the platform, the Power Platform now can be used automation tools, the various tools they have, Power Automate and some of the others that are in there to standardize on that set of tools to then use for any kind of workflow or customization you need to do. And it's, that's what they call their low code, no code, or low code, pro code solution. And so it's really possible of building a modern, simple, highly capable, extensible types of solutions right around it once everything is already there. So then you also have the capability or the potential then, more and more we're seeing customers embrace the Power Platform. They're building centers of excellence around it. They're building those internal resource skilling to be able to support that. So you have a broader set of skills that can then support what you're trying to do in project management and work, rather than having to have a skill set, as you mentioned a minute ago in that last challenge, that's specific to that application,
Right.
that workflow for that application. And then maybe somebody learns that and then they move on, right? And now you don't have anybody does it. But if you have a center of excellence around the Power Platform, then you can have a pool of internal or external resources that'll be able to do these customizations, keep them up to date, modernize them, continue to do what you need to do to best support your processes.
And a lot of you are working for companies or organizations that already use Microsoft technologies, M365, for example. And chances are that your IT department is already looking into or has already started to use the Power Platform. So they might be delighted to know that you want to extend that because they feel like it's safe, it's secure, and it's a known entity.
Absolutely.
Now, moreover, we all know that project management data is better when it's integrated with other line of business systems. But that's also been a challenge in the past. What we're doing is we're trying to connect to those other systems using APIs or consolidate the data into Excel and try to make meaningful data out of combining data from different places. So what can we do as key number 5 to make sure that we're building in connectors to other systems in a new, modern, meaningful way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, I can't tell you that last point on the challenges, how many times we've sat with customers trying to use vendor-specific APIs for their project management or their work management, or even a different type of solution like an ERP or solution or something like that. And again, these are building blocks. So once you're on the Power Platform comes with over 300 and growing built-in connectors to all kinds of applications, ERP, CRM, other third-party project execution type tools, everything else that's out there. So if you need to pull, like from your ERP, some financial information and pull it back into your project central source of truth, so you then can marry that up with some schedule information or something else, it's much easier to do, and you have a secure set of platform connectors that are already there. They're being maintained by Microsoft. You don't have to worry about, is it going to work tomorrow or not work today or whatever. It's all just going to work, and you're going to be able to leverage those to your advantage much easier.
That's right. So let's review the 5 keys to project management success. Fix collaboration chaos, consolidate and normalize data, build common reporting capabilities, standardize automation platforms, and leverage built-in connectors. So how is Innovative E solving these problems and starting to use these keys to success for your benefit? Well, what we're doing is we're leveraging Teams for project management, and we're going to start collaborating on that project data using a tool that you already own and that you're likely already using. Because projects are about getting things done, and so is Microsoft Teams. And Microsoft has made available new, easy-to-learn project tools like Project for the Web and Planner that make planning simple and that can be extended with the use of Microsoft Teams. So you can take those tools and you can embrace those casual project managers in your organization that shied away from PPM systems and want to do things their way. Maybe they're just trying to get projects done, but they're not a named project manager. Maybe that's some of you on the call today. So instead of reaching out to shadow IT solutions that create disparate data, what you can try to do is use Teams as a centralized repository for your project collaboration and data and reporting. And we're going to help you do that with a product that we've built in Power Platform called Teams4PM. Teams4PM transforms Teams into a project management hub. It gets a single dashboard for all project work, regardless of complexity. It helps with risk and issue logging, and you can even log risks and issues right from a Teams chat thread. It lays the groundwork for the promise of AI in project management because your data is all consolidated. And it's integral to connecting that data with other line of business systems, since Teams4PM is built on the Power Platform that we've been talking so much about. It leverages all those connectors that are available to Power Automate. And so just in review, Innovative E has built a Power App called Teams4PM. If you were looking at this presentation and thinking, this all sounds great, but I don't really know how to get started, We've already done that for you. We've done that legwork for you. We're experts in the Microsoft Power Platform and in project management. So we're using those two skill sets to combine that together into a solution that we are putting out there for your benefit. It optimizes and extends teams for the purposes of work and project management. It centralizes the management of all that data, regardless of the complexity of the project. And if you're using Project Online, Project for the Web, Planner, and ADO, you're going to love this solution because you can keep using the tools you love. It automates and governs Teams channel creation. It actually spins up the Teams channel for you so that you don't have to worry about where's it going to go? How do I set it up? How can I set up the data structure so it collects the data in a meaningful way so that I can report on it later? And it provides that workflow that can be tailored to your organization, as well as the ability to edit all project data centrally in one location. It provides also out-of-the-box executive dashboards and project status reports that are built with that data in Power BI. So let's demonstrate how Teams4PM can be put to work for your organization.
Teams4PM, collaborative work management from Innovative E. What Teams4PM adds to the picture is you have a general screen where you have a Teams4PM app, and that's going to take all of your project information and it's going to centralize it in one place. So you can look at your projects from a standpoint of, here are my simple projects, here are my enterprise level projects. It may take projects from Project for the Web or Project Online. And of course, we can make this full screen. And so I'm able to look at my complete project list, and also I'm able to edit things in line. If I want to change the department for this project to operations, for example, or I want to change its cost health to red, those can also be calculated depending on how you want to configure this. If I want to also take a look at the risks across the board in all projects, I can do that here. I can look at the issues across the board in all projects. I can look at the lessons learned. So it provides me the ability not only to edit things centrally, but also to see what's going on centrally if I'm, at PMO level or management, and I want to take a look at or make some changes to things all up. For example, I can change the budgets of some of these projects, the priority level, right all from here. So that's a really nice way of looking at it. And then if I want to go into individual projects, I can simply go back to an individual project like my cloud transformation project, for example, and I can see just that project and that project schedule as I was showing earlier. We also have some other capabilities here, like, for example, the risk board, where I can basically log risks for my projects, and then those all get copied back to the general screens that I showed you before. And then we have the ability to log issues, and those all, again, copy back to the general. So once I log a risk or an issue, it's going to immediately be available in the central administration. So key sponsors out of the office, we take a look at going back to the central administration here, and we're able to see that risk and issue in the central screens. Teams4PM, collaborative work management from Innovative E. Schedule your demo today.
Thanks for the great demo, Bryan. So a little bit more about how Teams4PM is kind of laid out. This kind of shows you on the left, you've got your challenges, and these are the kind of things we talked about, right? So you can see what those challenges are on the left side. And then the outcomes on the right are kind of what we talked about is the way to address those. And here's how we address this with Teams4PM. You can see that it sits kind of in the Power Platform space, but it sits within the Microsoft Teams construct. It leverages Power Platform by data flowing back and forth through from Teams4PM to the Power Platform, and then from the execution tools that you see at that bottom layer. And you see that we've already, as Bryan mentioned earlier, already have Project Online, Project for the Web, Planner, ADO coming up in a new release, and then more. We actually plan on tying in some of the key third-party ones that are out there as well. So that's really, it helps you move from those challenges to those outcomes, like Bryan said, by giving you a jump start on doing that and having this solution in place that you can then continue to build and extend for your project management and work needs.
Customers are already talking about Teams4PM. We implemented the solution for the Southern New Hampshire University. Some of you may have seen their commercials on TV. They have one of the largest online curriculum in the country, and what they're doing with Teams4PM is amazing. They had an existing project online solution that we helped them configure a couple of years ago. And what they're doing is they're combining that with Teams4PM, bringing that entire experience into Microsoft Teams and adding Project for the Web on top of that as a scheduling option. So they have two different kinds of projects, complex and simple, and they have their templates built in so that some people are using MS Project on the desktop and others are using Project for the Web. But all of that data about the portfolio and the metadata and the way that they start on projects is very consistent, and it's all completely contained within Teams. Check out our case study on Southern New Hampshire University at Teams4PM.com. And Teams4PM is available in the Microsoft Azure Commercial Marketplace. Just check us out on AppSource. It's project management for Teams, or scan the QR code. To learn more about Teams4PM, the other solutions by Innovative E, a Microsoft trusted partner, check out our website at Teams4PM.com or scan the QR code on your screen. On that website, you'll see our customer case studies, infographics about Teams4PM, our solution briefs, our ebooks, videos, and links to our podcast, Are You Done Yet? Or you can contact me, Bryan.quick, at innovative-e.com for schedule your customized demo for your team. I'd love to learn more about your particular challenges and how Teams4PM could potentially help. Thanks for joining our session at PMXPO today. We hope you got a lot out of it. Check out our resources in our booth and give us a shout if you need some help.
Yeah, we'd love to stay in touch. Thank you, Bryan.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great meeting, everybody. Take care.
Take care.